Hello loved ones, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited to be hosting you here again. So what I want to do is I'm going to give this intro and I want to show you what I was up to the past weekend. So I was invited to yet another speaking engagement. I'm so grateful because they keep coming. Praise God. I'm just so grateful. So I was invited to another speaking engagement over the past weekend. That was on Saturday. So I want to show you how I got ready. I got my makeup done, a little touch up on my hair. We got there and I want to show you snippets of what I was speaking about. So I was speaking about conflict resolution in a long-term relationship, or if you're preparing to get married, in that relationship as well. It could also work for other relationships, but because of the nature of the event, I sort of just limited it to romantic relationships. But I think some of those tips could also work for other relationships as well, including platonic relationships. So I hope you enjoy it. If you're here and you're watching and you have not subscribed, I urge you to consider subscribing to my content. I give very godly content, sometimes also very relatable content, some storytelling as well. Diary of the Preacher's Kid. I actually need to upload an episode on that one. And yeah, just me. I talk on relationships, some do's and don'ts in relationships. And I think what I'll do next is also upload a video on questions to ask on a first date, because we did do very weird questions to ask, or questions not to ask on a first date. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. I'm just going to give you a few clips and I hope you enjoy it. Remember to like this video, to share it with your friends, whoever you think may need to hear it, and to also comment your thoughts on it. So thank you again for being here. I love you.
I'm married to the gentleman that's over there. I'm really honored to even be here, to even be selected as one of the speakers. So thank you, Ms. Davidson and your beautiful wife, for having me at this event. I am also just as nervous. I'm always nervous when I speak to people, so it will also help if you engage with me and we encourage one another as we move along. So I haven't been married for very long. I am a Christian. I met my husband within 4 months of knowing him. He proposed, I said yes. Now, that is obviously one of the rare stories that you find. You know, you have to know a little bit of some facts about conflict, the causes of conflict, how to have healthy conflict, and how to resolve the conflict and choosing a battle. So conflict means to clash, to not agree on something. And we had this little silly argument. So the way I grew up is that when you go to somebody's house and they serve you food, right? After you eat the food, yes, you eat. After you eat the food, you have to take the plate to the kitchen as a sign of respect, right? You can't sit there and expect somebody to pick the plate up for you. How he grew up is you can't just decide to pick your plate up and go into someone's kitchen, because that's rude, yes. So one day we were at someone's house and I'm seeing this man is sitting with his plate on his lap, and in my head I'm like, who does he think is going to pick his plate up for him? Like, this is so rude. What did I marry? And he probably, like, when we eventually had this conversation, he was also like, no, but what do you mean? That is rude, what you're doing. Now, what I'm telling you is this very silly situation that can spark really great conflict. And sometimes that's what happens in conflict. So it starts with, I had inner conflict, and I was like, what is he? You know, I was busy hyping myself up, busy building my arguments in my head. You know how we do it.
Yeah, of course.
And, you know, that was the inner conflict. And so when I addressed it, of course, I came up, you know, the first thing that was like, what are you doing? This is so disrespectful. And he was like, what do you think? You know, this is, what I think is actually the right way. What you're doing is disrespectful. And you know, this is just an example of how conflict can really choose your battles. But I'm going to talk about that later on. Choose your battles, choose what you fight about. I don't actually like to use the word fight, but just choose your battles. And I'm going to show you how you can have healthy conflict. Okay? Because conflict is inevitable, but you can manage the conflict well. The healthy relationships are the relationships that have healthy conflict. And I'm going to show you why conflict is necessary for your relationship. Times where it's like, I'm on my point and he's on his point, and we're just not getting anywhere. Take a 20-minute break and come back. Yeah, because a tea break. Because if you don't take a break, you might say things that you don't want to say.
Yeah.
And words have power. Yeah. I know when I said certain things out of anger, I come from a family where a lot of people are emotionally imbalanced. People just say hurtful things to hurt the other person back. And I did a lot of work to get myself out of there and to identify as somebody who's gracious. I want to be a gracious wife. My husband needs to come home and want to be at home. My husband needs to be at work and think, oh, when am I getting home? Because I have intentionally purposed it in my heart to create a healthy environment at home. Even when we argue, he must feel good, and he must feel he's got a place. So, remember, coming from a place of love, always process your emotions. So this is something you can do practically. Breathe in for 4 seconds, actually count 1, 2, 3, 4, hold it for 4 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, then you release slowly through your mouth for 4 seconds. If you still don't feel calmer, do it again. If you don't feel calmer after 8 times, see a psychologist. But what I'm trying to say to you is just process your emotions. Up to us, because everybody has flaws. I had to weigh them out before I decided that, okay, we can do this marriage thing. Okay, what are the flaws that I'm able to deal with? Are these my deal breakers or not? What are my non-negotiables? What are my negotiables? Right? So it's a decision that you have to make, but just know that you're not going to get a perfect person. Yeah? Right. Are we together now? Great. I don't care if this feeling makes sense right now, but I'm feeling this and it needs to be validated. Men communicate from a place of logic. I was sharing this joke on my social media the other day where I need my man to, validate my emotions. Why is he so logical? Like, come on, feel this with me. Yes. But naturally, the masculine energy gravitates towards communicating from a place of logic. That's why a man will always tell you, and a great man said this, a man will always tell you what he thinks, and a woman will always tell you what she feels. Tell you what he thinks, and a woman will always tell you what she feels. In most instances. I always draw this diagram for my couples and I say, we have to meet in the middle. And in that middle, that's the place of wisdom. Understanding one another, coming together, hearing each other out. Okay? Yes, so also understanding then how differently your partner processes emotions. That's very important. Some people want to be left alone. Like my husband, and it used to really irritate me. Because for me, the issue must be solved now. Like, we're here, let's just solve the issue and carry on and be happy. I'm naturally a happy person, so I don't like animosity for long. Like, let's just make peace and, get along. Yeah. So for him, he needs time to process his thoughts. So it used to really cause a lot of chaos. And I'm like, what? Let's sort it out now. And he's like, no, I need time. And I had to grow up and realize that, we're different. Yeah, and thank you, and that's okay, and I needed to respect that. But he also had to meet me halfway. So instead of needing 3 hours, he'll maybe need an hour now. Whether you are angry, and this is a conversation we've always had with my husband. When you are angry, babe, I need to know that you still love me, and we can address the rest. Right? So, just an example, how do I know you're acting from a place of love? Don't be too harsh to the point where I feel like I don't belong to you. The language, the words that we use. The tone, yeah. I'm gonna get there as well. Number 2, realize that you have an imperfect partner. You're not married to somebody who's got it all figured out. We all have things to work out in our lives. I am very imperfect as I'm standing here. And he knows that, and he's got to deal with me. Similarly, I've got to deal with him. And I've got to acknowledge that this is not God. This is a human being, rather. And then also personality clashes, how you think, how you reason. These are all things that can influence conflict, right? So guys, I'm a namana, so sometimes the nama blood comes out. So let's talk about how to then avoid unhealthy conflict and have healthier conflict. So if I'm moving a little bit too fast, please stop me, but I'm trying my best to manage our time. Are we good? Are we together? Yes, thank you so much. Right. So, the thing about important topics, I for one don't take this task very lightly because I think it's a very essential topic. Now what I will do is, I will try my very best to give you what I can in the best amount of time. We've got to manage our time, but normally with this topic, when I times where it's like I'm on my point and he's on his point and we're just not getting anywhere. Take a 20-minute break and come back. Yeah, because if you, a tea break, because if you don't take a break, you might say things that you don't want to say. And words have power. I know when I said certain things out of anger, I come from a family where a lot of people are emotionally imbalanced. People just say hurtful things to hurt the other person back. And I did a lot of work to get myself out of there and to identify as somebody who's gracious. I want to be a gracious wife. My husband needs to come home and want to be at home. My husband needs to be at work and think, oh, when am I getting home? Because I have intentionally purposed it in my heart to create a healthy environment at home. Even when we argue, he must feel heard and he must feel he's got a place. Remember, coming from a place of love, always process your emotions. So this is something you can do practically. Breathe in for 4 seconds, actually count 1, 2, 3, 4, hold it for 4 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, then you release slowly through your mouth for 4 seconds. If you still don't feel calmer, do it again. If you don't feel calmer after 8 times, see a psychologist. But what I'm trying to say to you is just process your emotions. It was very important for me to win every debate. I needed to win, and I'm married to a man who is he's filled with wisdom, but he only speaks when it's necessary. He's not like me, right? I'm just gonna have anything to say, whether it makes sense or not, right? And he's just, he speaks when he speaks when he has to speak. So I had to change my mindset. In a nutshell, I had to grow up. Sometimes we just need to grow up, right? Number one, when you find yourself in a place where you are conflicted, right? Where there's conflict, right? Remember to always have this mindset. Always act from a place of love. Now, this is in respect of romantic relationships because of the setting that we had. You've got no business being in a relationship with somebody that...
So what I was actually trying to say here is that you've got no business being in a relationship with somebody that you don't love. So if you are in a romantic relationship with somebody, it should mean that you do love them. And therefore, when you do have conflict, you should always act from a place of love and not say hurtful things just for the sake of saying it, and not downgrade them or bully them just for the sake of it. But remembering that, hey, this is somebody that I love, and therefore, even though I'm really frustrated and angry right now, I still need to know that I love them. And my actions must coincide with that.
Sure, I don't mind. I can do this for my person, right? For example, my husband grew up. He's not an affectionate person, and I am very affectionate. I'm a hugger. Let's hold hands and everything, because the love's born in me, right? And I remember going to the mall when we were newly married. I want to show off my man's, right? And let's hold hands. And he just didn't understand. He just didn't understand. So, what is happening? We are married, right? So why must I hold your hand? And for me, I'm like, yes, that's exactly why, because we're married. And it was a little bit of a, back and forth. And here's where the compromise came in. Okay, babe, it really won't take anything away from me if I hold your hand. I'll hold your hand, right? And I'm like, okay, babe, it really won't take anything away from me if you forget to hold my hand. Because that's who you are. You grew up like that. And that's how we found each other. So I don't get mad when he doesn't hold my hand or when he forgets. I don't. But I know that eventually he will, because it's important to me. What's important to you should be important to your partner. Right. The other one is moving on swiftly. Validate your partner's emotions, even when you don't. You're free to disagree, and we can debate about it. I'm a very open person. Sure, I don't mind. I can do this for my person, right? For example, my husband grew up. He's not an affectionate person, and I am very affectionate. I'm a hugger. Let's hold hands and everything, because the love's born in me, right? And I remember going to the mall when we were newly married. I want to show off my man's, right? And let's hold hands. And he just didn't understand. He just didn't understand. So, what is happening? We are married, right? So why must I hold your hand? And for me, I'm like, yes, that's exactly why, because we're married. And it was a little bit of a, back and forth. And here's where the compromise came in. Okay, babe, it really won't take anything away from me if I hold your hand. I'll hold your hand, right? And I'm like, okay, babe, it really won't take anything away from me if you forget to hold my hand. Because that's who you are. You grew up like that. And that's how we found each other. So I don't get mad when he doesn't hold my hand or when he forgets. I don't. But I know that eventually he will, because it's important to me. What's important to you should be important to your partner. Right. The other one is moving on swiftly. Validate your partner's emotions, even when you don't.
So what I was saying here was learn to validate your partner's emotions even when you don't understand their emotions at the time. They don't have to make sense for you to just make them feel like, okay, you validate their emotions and what they're feeling is valid at the time. Eventually had to wrap it up and leave early because I had a 3 o'clock meeting, and this was the end of my day. I was ready to just get home and take a nap. But also I got a package. They gave me a little gift bag and I was so excited. I like goodies. So I'm gonna show you guys what's in there. I must have opened this during the day. So yeah, but let me show you what's inside. So, oh yes, I remember what happened. I got home and then the next day, that's when I opened up the package and I got some biltong, because I love biltong. Droewoors is one of my favorites, and that was delicious. I shared it with my husband. He ate most of it. Ferrero Rocher, love it for me. It was amazing. Again, my husband ate 50% of that. That's some Jacob's coffee. And this, I really, really love this gift. It even had my name printed at the back. Mrs. M, her name. I thoroughly enjoyed this day because I got to look really pretty. Thank you to Makeup by Timey. Timey is a really great friend of mine. I just love this look. So that's what I have for you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.